Good afternoon. My name is Valdrin Spahia. I'm one of the solution architects here at CoreALM. Welcome to the CoreALM webinar on Integrate SAP Data with Azure. Today, I will be co-presenting with one of my colleagues, Ed Sharani, who will be doing the main webinar on integrating SAP Data with Azure. But before we do get started on the webinar, we're going to give you an idea what the agenda is going to be about today. So we're going to talk a little bit about what our company does. The second part is we're going to start the introduction to connecting SAP data to Azure. Then we're going to introduce about the 80 connectors that are available for those data connectors. And then we'll give you a couple of examples of the most popular connectors, and also we'll jump into how do you get started, and then questions and answers follow at the end. So as a company of at CoreALM, we're dedicated experts on focusing on digital transformation lifecycle by establishing a strong digital core foundation, leveraging SAP HANA, SAP Solution Manager as a delivery platform, using the application management and DevOps. Overall, we have, over 50 years of experience around SAP combined as a company with all of the consultants. Most of our consultants are ex-SAP that either worked for SAP in consulting services or delivering some type of consulting services within SAP. And that's how the company was founded back in 2009, with mainly focus on application lifecycle management and solution manager. We've worked with, I would say, over hundreds of customers and accounts from different clients that do run SAP. We also, we've done multiple large implementations, S4 and ERP and so on, using SAP Solution Manager as a delivery platform. Some of the main services that we offer, it's process and project and management and portfolio. So anything to do with, project management, let it be if it's an SAP Solution Manager or any type of some of the services and products that we offer, like a Scrum Board, from a capacity management to manage your projects. We have a service around that capability. Also, business process management. So if you're looking to document any of your business processes, also monitor your business processes and so on, we have engagements in that offering. Test management. So it's anywhere from coordinating testing to doing automated testing and execution of testing. We have that offering as well. And also then in change and control management and ITSM and ServiceNow. We also have DevOps, like run SAP like a factory, which is one of the terms. However, if you're looking to monitor any of your SAP or non-SAP systems, this solution manager or the tools, we have an offering to help you manage and provide services around monitoring any of your services. Also, design and development, so any type of third-party applications or on top or enhancements on top of SAP. We offer service around designing UX UI if it's Fiori, or let it be any type of ABAP development or non-SAP. We also offer services around that. Last but not least, Focus Build and Focus Turn, which is a add-on on top of SAP Solution Manager. So mainly the Focus Build piece, where if you're running an innovation or any type of a new S4 HANA project, we help customers deliver those projects using the Solution Manager as a delivery platform to execute and deliver those projects. Some of the engagement models that we have, so we have time and material, fixed cost, and also we offer managed services as well. Some of the awards and partnerships and recognitions that we've got. So for 3 years in a row, we were a Pinnacle Award from SAP. We're also an SAP Certified Run partner from implementations. And back in 2015, we got an award from being one of the 20 of the most promising ALM solution providers. To kind of give you an idea from a SAP Solution Manager, which is one of our core main areas that we deliver of Solution Manager with Focus Build, is we help customers move or deliver their innovation projects with us for using SAP Solution Manager and Focus Build, which kind of gives you a single source of truth or a hub for all of your activities, which is your project management, any project tasks and maintaining those tasks. Also process management, from building your process documentation, having all of your requirements in one place, and also how do you then change, make those changes in SAP? How do you transport them using release management? And last but not least, test them and then deploy into production. So that the focus build will support all of these capabilities using Solution Manager, and it'll help you deliver the project in SAP and Activate, SAP Activate and Agile methodology. Now, some of our products that we have built as on top of SAP Solution Manager is a Scrum Board that you see here on the screen, where it will help you manage all of your projects in an agile methodology. So you would have multiple projects and multiple teams where you could run Scrum meetings and see all of the work that's being created. This is extracting data directly out of Solution Manager, where you could have all of your work items and change documents in here as part of the Scrum meeting to see exactly what wave you are in, what sprint, and what are all of the activities that you need to do. It gives you an idea how many blockers you have, how many decisions for each one of these work items or work tasks that a developer or configurator has to do in the system. So a pretty nice way to kind of manage your entire project and deliver it on top of what some of the SAP tools offer. In addition to that, from a PMO perspective, it gives you a pretty good idea on a burn down chart, like exactly where you stand, how much work do you have planned, and how much actual work you're doing. And it breaks it down by wave and sprint, which is pretty nice to see exactly where you stand in that 3 or 4 week sprint, or even if it's longer or so on. Also, it gives you a cumulative burnout chart where you can see exactly on each sprint how many work you actually have planned, and then how many you are completing per that sprint. In addition to that, from a project perspective, it gives you a progress overview on overall project, how you're doing, and it goes all the way down to how many requirements you have, how many work items, work packages, and if you have any type of defects within the project. So it's a cumulative view that you can see exactly where you stand as of today at any time, and this is almost real-time data. You can also do capacity management within our Scrum Board, where you can manage all of your resources based on their availability, and how many projects are assigned and how many sprints, and you can tell exactly what is their bandwidth and how much work they can actually do, and what you should assign them to as well. So fairly easy to assign resources in here, since you're going to have all of the work if you decide to use our Scrum Board, the Solution Manager. Since you're going to have all of the work assigned to one of those sprints, you're going to assign the resources to a sprint and to a task like a work item, and it will definitely show you if they're over allocated or if they're under allocated for the task that they need to do. Now, in addition to that, we have another product, which is a ServiceNow connector for SAP Solution Manager. So in the case if you have a ServiceNow tool, and if you're using SAP Solution Manager, let it be for operations or for change control management, we have a tool where you can connect these two together with an integrator. And what it will help you with is that you can have any type of request, incident, problem, change, and then a resolution. It also, that integration, the way it will work is that you would open a ticket in ServiceNow, and then if a change needs to happen, it will automatically create that change in SAP Solution Manager once it's approved. And then at that point, you will walk through your normal ServiceNow workflows, and it will make the changes in Solution Manager and vice versa as well into the ServiceNow tool. It will also work for incident management. So, for example, if you're using Solution Manager for operations to monitor all of your systems, and let's say a CPU goes higher in a SAP Solution Manager in any system that you're monitoring, it will raise automatically an incident within ServiceNow from Solution Manager, so that way the team can be alerted and maintain that incident. Now, just to kind of give you a one workflow with how the ServiceNow works with Charm in this case in Solution Manager. If an example is if you need to create a new change that's going to somehow turn into a transportable change, that we will need a Charm request or a Charm normal change to be created. It would go through the ServiceNow workflow all the way to approval. Once that ticket is approved in ServiceNow, it will create a Charm normal change in Solution Manager. Then we would go through the workflows of creating a transport, moving that transport to, for example, a QA environment, testing it. And then before that transport is allowed to move to production, it will go back into ServiceNow where management or whoever is approver for that change to move forward to a production environment would authorize it, and then it will be scheduled to be imported into the production environment. Once that's imported, it will automatically close the change within the ServiceNow. So that integration really helps our clients without having to maintain two tools, for example, for requests for changes and so on. Now, I'm going to pass the presentation to my colleague Acharani, who's an architect in this area, and he's going to go over the webinar on SAP Data to Azure. So Ed, I'm going to stop presenting and pass it on to you.
Thank you, Valderin. I appreciate that introduction. I am going to try and share my screen. There we go. And let's go ahead and start here. Thanks again for the introduction, Valderin. So most customers, what I've been seeing with a lot of my clients is you really have 4 different types of S4 HANA implementations. One being the classic, another being an on-prem solution, and then you have 2 different versions of an S4 cloud environment. You have both the private cloud and the public cloud. And so my customers have really varied over the years, recent years, if you will, in terms of what their S4 implementations have been, what version of it that they've used. But the S4 on-prem and private cloud offer considerably more native connector capabilities than S4, the public cloud, which I noted with one of my more recent customers. The native connectors that exist within Microsoft products are considerably more limited in connecting to the S4 public cloud than those other versions. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the next slide on if you do in fact have a public cloud environment, how you can still collect some of that data and integrate that into your Azure environment. And so the answer to that is through the creation of CDS views. I imagine most members of the audience today have used a CDS view in the past. If they haven't, it stands for Core Data Services. And within S4 Cloud, the public cloud, you do have prepackaged CDS views that are easily adjustable. You can go in, you can create them, you can customize them to conform to your liking, so you can extract some of that content into your Azure environment. Now, is it still possible to do a mass migration with the public cloud from SAP over to Azure? Absolutely, it is. Is it going to be a little bit more complex and complicated? Absolutely. Now, there are going to be better techniques of doing it using some of the non-public cloud environments. However, for the public cloud, you are going to be a little bit more limited in terms of how to collect that content from your S4 environment and push it into Azure. And so a lot of customization has to go, which can sometimes be a very good thing. You can pinpoint the exact content you want from SAP and have that migrated over into S4, or rather into your Microsoft Azure data warehousing environment. So let's assume that you have a non-public cloud. So you have a private cloud or you're using an S4 on-prem version of SAP. And so if that's the case, you can use these different tools within Microsoft to enable you to connect and bring in data from SAP. The first one is Azure Data Factory. So it's abbreviated ADF, and that's really become a huge highlight within Microsoft in terms of sort of the tool of choice when it comes to ETL processing. The ability to identify a data provider and have that seamlessly integrate with your Azure storage, whether it be a data warehouse, database, or a data lake of some kind. So Azure Data Factory is sort of the leading technology of Microsoft, and I'll get down to that very bottom portion of SSIS in a moment here. But that's really from everything I've seen, it's really taking over as the ETL tool of choice for Microsoft. Data catalog. A lot of people might not know what this is, especially if you're not familiar with the Microsoft environment. But data catalog enables the metadata migration of content from SAP into your Microsoft Azure environment. So data catalog is really geared towards metadata, and it really isn't meant to serve as a method of actually bringing in your core data from your environment over into Microsoft Azure. So there is a native connector that enables you to connect directly to SAP in order to bring that in to Microsoft Azure. Now, this third one is really interesting. Say you don't really want to do much data integration or management with your SAP environment, and you're simply using Power BI, the Microsoft BI tool, to connect to SAP as a data provider and report off of that. If that's the case, you can use Power BI, and some of the more recent capabilities of Power BI actually allow you to use it as a pipeline of bringing data and storing it into your data set. So very few people know about this, but Power BI can actually be used to extract some of your content from SAP and bring it in to your Microsoft environment. Now, Azure Analysis Services, that's a tool that I kind of like to think of as the HANA equivalent, and enables you to process your content considerably more quickly, right? It gives you that in-memory capabilities that HANA has. And so within Azure Analysis Services, you can connect directly to SAP. However, it's not really a storage mechanism. It's more like the semantic layer, if you will. It gives you the capability of data modeling and identifying your data sources and have that integrate with your pre-existing Microsoft Azure data warehouse or database environment. And so Azure Analysis Services gives you that capability of connecting to SAP, so you can perform semantic layer modeling at that stage in order to enable your presentation layer to retrieve content from SAP. And so if you have HANA residing in your S4 environment, it'll still harness the power of HANA in the process of connecting to Analysis Services. But Analysis Services is kind of in its own ability, it has its own abilities of processing content more quickly. So Azure Logic Apps, a lot of you guys may not know what it is. It's a cloud-based offering offered by Microsoft that enables you to connect to disparate data sources. So that's another offering that SAP has, and there are native capabilities of connecting, or that Microsoft has, there are native capabilities of connecting to SAP using that tool. SSIS is the traditional, I guess, most commonly known Microsoft ETL product. There are, I guess, there's more and more folks that are sort of moving away from that and moving towards Data Factory. Now, having said that, it's not like SSIS and Data Factory can't work with one another. Data Factory is really the cloud-based tool, and SSIS is traditionally more the on-prem tool that you would use. However, you do have the ability to connect SSIS to Data Factory. So if you're using SSIS and Data Factory, and you don't really want to do a whole lot with some of the pre-existing jobs that you have, and simply want to have that flown into your Data Factory purchase or into your Data Factory tool, you have that capability of connecting SSIS to Data Factory. SSIS recently has also enabled the capability of connecting directly to SAP, so you can bring in SAP content into your SSIS environment. So let's go ahead and look at a modern data warehouse environment. And so in this case, on the very far left, you're going to see your SAP content. You can have on-prem data, like Oracle, SQL, Teradata. You can have cloud data like Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, whatever the case may be, and as well as SaaS data as well, like Salesforce and Dynamics. And so in order to ingest this content, you can use Azure Data Factory to do that. And so Azure Data Factory enables you to select multiple data providers and bring that in to your Azure SQL data warehouse. So what you'll notice there, and maybe a term that some of you guys are familiar with and some of you guys may not be familiar with, is Azure Databricks. And so what is Azure Databricks? It's an Apache Spark-based analytical platform that works seamlessly with SQL Data Warehouse, Power BI, Azure Active Directory, as well as Azure Storage. And so it's embedded within the Azure portal. So you can, if you log into the Azure portal, you can select Azure Databricks, and it's really useful in terms of enabling all different types of users to process the content in a more expedited manner. So it enables the automation of ETL jobs that you might have with Azure Data Factory. It enables real-time data to display if you're using Power BI or another visualization tool. And it also enables you to analyze the content more effectively if you're sort of a data scientist type of individual who's very interested in mining the content within your environment. So Azure Data Factory, I imagine a good amount of you guys at least heard it if you guys haven't used it already, but there are a lot of benefits to using that versus a traditional SSIS ETL tool. It is very fully integrated within the Microsoft stack. So if you're a big Microsoft player, you may want to use Azure Data Factory. There is a cost associated with, and obviously that might not be the best for all our organizations if the funds aren't there, but if there are, it definitely would be a preferred tool according to Microsoft. So it does give connection and integrated capabilities. It has a full integration with Azure Data Services, which is part of obviously the part of the Microsoft stack. It is scalable and cost effective. So it's pay for use, very much like the rest of Azure. You can turn it on and turn it off as depending upon your utilization of the tool. There are security measures in place, and this slide here is actually a little outdated. So it says you can access up to 80 plus connectors. It's actually 90 now. As time progresses, Azure Data Factory is expanding its connectors to different technologies and tools. So you'll see here, you have the ability to connect to the BW, ECC, HANA, SAP table. So there's a lot of SAP connectors embedded within Azure Data Factory, but it also gives you the capability of connecting to other Azure features, other databases, and even like generic data sources like HTTP, OData, ODBC, and REST. So this is just a graphical depiction of some of the connectors that Azure Data Factory enables you to select. So I'm within Azure Data Factory and I want to connect to my SAP HANA database. Well, if you open up Azure Data Factory, you're going to see a little icon like this. You're going to see SAP HANA, and you can go ahead and select that in order to establish a connection to your SAP HANA environment. And so say I want to also do that with my BW. It's very similar. You have the ability to select your SAP BW environment using your ADF connector option. However, it would be suggested if you do have SAP table to go that route first, and if that doesn't work, then use the Open Hub, and if that doesn't work, then use your MDX. And so, part of the reason you would want to go with one versus the other would really be looking at this last row down here, in terms of your workload. If you have a large volume of content that you want to extract from SAP and bring into your Azure Data Warehouse, you would want to use SAP Table if you have it. And then if not, you want to use Open Hub. And then if you just have a small set amount of data that you want to migrate into your environment, then it would be suggested to use MDX. And these are the type of, and if you guys are familiar with the SAP environment, this is the type of content that you can migrate from SAP over into Azure Data Warehouse. So the info cubes, table and view with an SAP table, so on and so forth. So say you want to bring in some information from ECC or other SAP apps, very similar to what you saw before. The suggested route would be to try to use SAP table if you have it, and if not, then go ahead and set up an OData connector via the SAP gateway in order to bring the content in. It is going to be slower, and the amount of volume that it can really handle isn't quite as much as it would be if you were to use SAP table. So let's talk a little bit about the SAP HANA connector, some more, I should say. So it does support HANA versions. It does both the support on-prem and in the cloud. It does give you the ability to obtain HANA information models. So any calculation views or analytical views that you've created, it gives you the capability of bringing those in. It does use the basic authentication mechanism, which is username and password. And it is built on top of the ODBC driver of SAP. So let's talk a little bit about the ECC connector now. So you do have to have a version of 7.0 and above. So if you're using a legacy system of ECC, it will not be supported with Azure Data Factory. So the type of SAP objects that can be used in this include the SAP OData services. And the support type is, again, similar to what you saw before. It's just the basic credentials, the username, password, and it does require an OData and SAP gateway. And so OData, as you guys probably well know, has been really embedded within the SAP environment for S4 with Fiori and other tools as well. And so with the ECC connector, you have the ability to incrementally move your content over from one environment to another. And so why does this even matter? Why don't I just do a mass migration? Well, there's going to be a cost associated with it, right? So there's a cost savings associated with doing it incrementally, and on top of that, a time for performance item as well. So if you're dealing with large volumes of content, you don't necessarily want to do a mass migration each and every single time you need to perform or collect some content from your SAP environment and push it into your Azure environment. So these are just a couple examples of what's happened in the past and how to go about resolving it. And so if I'm in Azure Data Factory, this is what you'll see. You will see 6 different capabilities. Notice how you did a search word on SAP of connecting your content to an SAP environment. So the Azure Data Factory gives this to you, and it also gives you the options of incrementally copying some of the content to your Azure environment. So it's a really neat tool. If anyone's used an ETL product in the past, whether it be data services, Informatica, data stage, just to name a few, this will be very intuitive. You'll be able to go in there, create your jobs. You'll be able to create your connections like you would in any other technology. And it was very, very easy for me to pick up. So in case you guys do have some questions on using the tool, feel free to message us, and we'd be happy to try and address them. So Power BI, you guys have probably all heard of this by now. It's sort of Microsoft's big business intelligence technology. They have both an on-prem version as well as a cloud version, Power BI Pro, Premium. So they have these different versions that you can purchase if you're interested in using Power BI. And kind of going back to what I talked about before, right? You have the ability of connecting directly to SAP using Power BI. So if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see SAP HANA database is something you can connect to. You can connect to the business warehouse server as well. So you have the ability of connecting my Power BI directly to your SAP environment, and you can actually leverage that within your data set. And so like I mentioned before, you can use it as a pipeline of bringing content into your Azure environment if that's so something that you're interested in doing. It's not the most effective, it's not the suggested way of doing it, but there is that capability that exists with Power BI to enable you to do that. And once you do have that content in a data set, you can merge that with other data providers. So if you want to do some manipulation of content using different data sources, you can actually just use Power BI itself to do that. Again, not the most the most recommended approach of doing it, but that capability does exist. And so you have other tools as well, right? So, some people may say, well, I'm not used to using Azure Data Factory and I don't want to learn it, or I don't want to use SSIS, or I don't want to go through the extraction process that SAP offers because I have a public cloud. Well, there are other tools that you may want to potentially look at in order to perform that migration of your SAP data and place that into your Azure environment. And so some of the ones that come to mind that I've done a little bit of research on for some of my previous customers include Alteryx, Informatica, and DataStage. And obviously this list isn't comprehensive of all the ETL tools that have a native connector for SAP as a data source and Azure as a destination. As the audience probably well knows now that both of those have become some of the more common connectors out there. Microsoft has come leaps and bounds from a couple of years ago when they just started providing that native capability between the tools, and as time progresses, they're going to continue to grow more and more. So with regards to some of the sources that I came across, these are just some of the links that where I was able to come across that have some of the connectors on there. I have more references if you guys need. This was just some of the information that I came across for this presentation. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening in, and I am going to transfer it back to Valdrin.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the great information, Ed, and for all of our attendees within the webinar. This webinar is one of the series of webinars that we will do today, and it's mainly just an introduction to all of these different topics that Ed explained. We will be following up with additional webinars we will put on schedule where we go more in depth and show demos of the solutions as well. Also, if you do have any questions, please free to contact us at info@CoreALM.com, and we'll respond back to your email. Or if you prefer to have a discussion, you can also send us an email with your phone number, and we'll reach out back to you. Also, you can check out our website at CoreALM.com/webinars for additional webinars on this topic and other topics as well in the SAP space. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and hopefully you gained some knowledge today. Have a great day.